Today at 1, Israel remembers the October 7th attacks 2 years on. We'll be live in Israel and the West Bank, also on the programme. Good afternoon. Welcome to the BBC News at 1. Commemorations have taken place in Israel, marking the second anniversary of the October 7th attacks by Hamas. 1,200 people were killed and a further 251 taken hostage by the group, which is designated as a terrorist organisation by the UK. Well, the attack sparks the latest conflict in Gaza, in which more than 67,000 people have been killed. That's according to the Hamas-run Health Ministry. And this lunchtime, indirect negotiations aimed at ending the war continue in Egypt for a second day. Our Middle East correspondent Yilan Nell is at the site of the Nova Music Festival. Yilan, this is a site where hundreds were killed 2 years ago. How's that been marked today? Our Middle East correspondent Hugo Pachega is in Ramallah for us this lunchtime. And Hugo, this day 2 years ago led to a retaliation, as we were hearing from Yilan, that's affected all Palestinians and continues to. It's on those talks in Cairo. Well, here, the Prime Minister has urged students not to go ahead with planned pro-Palestinian protests today. So Keir Starmer says the demonstrations would be un-British because, he says, they show a lack of respect for others. Our correspondent Phil Norton reports. In other news this lunchtime, the mother of the murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence has urged a parole board not to release one of her son's killers. Baroness Doreen Lawrence said David Norris, one of those convicted of the racist murder in 1993, remains a danger to the public. A parole board is deciding whether Norris can be released on licence. Our investigations correspondent Daniel De Simone reports. Newly qualified doctors in England have voted overwhelmingly to go on strike over what they say is a lack of future training places. The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has rejected suggestions that she's failing to energise Tory activists amid claims that this year's party conference has struggled with attendance. It comes amid criticism around her leadership and the party's recent performance in the polls. Here's our political correspondent, Georgia Roberts. Well, our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman, joins us now from the conference in Manchester. And, Henry, we've been hearing the party trying to assert their policies this week, but those comments by the Shadow Justice Secretary, and also we've been hearing today about more defections to reform from the Conservative Party. So how is the mood? It is 19 minutes past 1, our top story this afternoon. The Metropolitan Police say it's carried out the UK's largest operation against mobile phone thieves, smashing a gang suspected of smuggling tens of thousands of devices into China. More than 80,000 phones were stolen in London alone last year. That's around 1 every 8 minutes. A warning, this report from our senior UK correspondent, Seema Katecha, has some flashing images. Pharmacists in England say a large number of patients coming in for COVID jabs are discovering that they're no longer eligible. The rollout of flu and COVID boosters began last week, but Community Pharmacy England says up to 50% of people who've made an appointment are being turned away. Our health editor, Hugh Pym, reports. Well, Paul and Julie, whose frustrations you heard there in Hugh's report, got in touch with us through. In other news this lunchtime, the Nobel Committee is struggling to get in touch with one of the winners of this year's prize in medicine as he's off-grid on a hiking trip. Significant gold artefacts are thought to be among the items stolen during a targeted attack at a museum in Cardiff yesterday. Our Wales correspondent Thomas Morgan is at St Fagans National Museum of History for us this lunchtime. And Thomas, neither the police or the museum have confirmed exactly what was taken yet. An artwork dedicated to the British servicemen who died on D-Day is returning to familiar ground today. The collection of nearly 1,500 silhouettes called Standing with Giants has been displayed at various locations over the last 3 years, most recently in Normandy. Well, now they're being installed at Fort Nelson in Portsmouth for a second time, and they'll be in place for next month's Remembrance commemorations, as Fiona Lambden reports. Just gone 1:30, a reminder of our top headline this afternoon. We'll have a full forecast in the next half hour, but now it's time for a quick look at the weather. Looking very smart, here's Thomas. But now let's return to our main story this lunchtime. As Israel marks 2 years since the October 7th Hamas attacks, Indirect peace talks between officials on both sides have entered their second day. President Trump says he's hopeful that a lasting peace deal will be agreed soon. Our Gaza correspondent Rushdie Abalouf joins us now from Istanbul. And Rushdie, we heard the American president there sounding reasonably optimistic. What do we know about any progress in the talks today? Gazans for the past 2 years, keeping a close eye on developments there. I mean, for people living in the Palestinian territory, how important is it that these talks do move things forward? We're back with you soon, but now on BBC One, time to join our colleagues with the news where you are. Renewable energy overtook coal as the world's leading source of electricity in the first half of this year. That's according to new data from the energy think tank Ember. It's an historic first, driven by growth in solar and wind power and a slight decline in coal and gas use. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rolat. Now, jackets and ties for men and smart skirts for women used to be almost a uniform when working in an office, but it seems the new world of hybrid working has led to changes in what people are choosing to wear for work, with more job adverts even outlining a less formal attire. Our business correspondent Emma Vardy has more. Emma Vardy reporting from the north, where we're still just as fashionable. Now, robotic pets, which have realistic fur and mimic the sounds of dogs and cats, are being used to try and tackle loneliness in care homes. The aim is that they offer comfort and companionship to residents who are lonely, have learning disabilities or living with dementia, as Matt Treacy reports. What a beautifully simple idea. Let's check in with the weather with Thomas today. Hi there.
You can see it. And
that's all from today's BBC News at 1. Don't forget you can head online to stay up to date with the latest developing stories and commemorations today on the 2-year anniversary of the Hamas attacks on Israel. From me and the BBC One team, do enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye.